Hadi başlayabiliriz. We're waiting for people to join. Just give them one more minute, maybe.
Yep. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. So welcome everybody, and we will wait one more minute for people to pop in. So just one more minute, please, and then we kick it off. Okay. Again, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are, somewhere around the world. Welcome in one of the highlights often of our year, which is the case study debrief, a yearly exercise, a yearly educational exercise we try to organize to include you as an official member of our club into some cases that can happen during shows that we have seen happening during shows already, and it's always interesting on talking to each other to see how would you have been solving this, how would you have been tackling these topics, how would you have been tackling these situations. It's an exercise about also learning from each other and with each other. So we were very happy to have many groups already pre-working these case studies. And at the same time, we are very happy to have with us Emily Sander, Anna Lindqvist, Maria Hernek, and Charles Modlin, who also took the time to work on these case studies and work together on what they should come up with as the final answer, or a good answer, or at least the way they have been or should be treating these situations. For this year, we particularly looked for cases where indeed our three groups of officials, if I can say so, are working together during horse inspections, during the shows as well, where official veterinarians, judges as ground jury members or presidents or foreign judges, and stewards as chief steward, foreign steward, or a steward member of a team are experiencing lifetime situations which are occurring. So from that perspective, we think it was a really valuable exercise. I would like to thank already our panelists for their support and their pre-work, and also for the debrief they are organizing today. And I hope you as a member have valued this exercise as much as we did when we were preparing it already. So I hope that we can learn from each other today as much as we can. That being said, as an introduction, I would like to hand it over to our panelists, and I don't know exactly who is going to start, Emily, Anna, Maria, or Charles, but I hand it over to you.
So, do you want to start with the first question?
Yes, please.
Okay. Can you see it on the screen?
Yes.
Yeah. The first page, please.
Great. Thank you so much. And I have been, as I voted to describe the first case, and I will actually not read it out because it should be well known to each and every of you that are listening. So just to remind you that we talk about post-vote check steward. The question is, what would you do as a chief steward? So that is my task to explain that. So next page, please, Sally. So when all this comes up, the task of the chief steward is actually to inform the president of the grand jury about the mistake that has happened.
Can you
Anna.
see the next?
Yes, so then we have been informed that there was a mistake in this elimination, and there really two ways to go in this case, and both groups, Group 1 and Group 2, in their answer has gone two different ways. The timing of the sanction plays a role in this case, I think. You know that you can protest against a result not later than 30 minutes after the result has been announced. This is not a protest situation, but this gives us a clue to that after 30 minutes, we don't change the results. So if that is your decision as president of the ground jury, the result stands. And that would be the solution. In this case, maybe you would contact the organization and inform them and tell them that we as officials we have made a mistake. And since we do have a result from the ride, because this rider was eliminated after the ride, it's easy to say what kind of placement he would have received. And maybe the organizing committee can do something about that. The other way to go is to go with a preamble in our rules. And you know that it says that every eventuality cannot be provided for in the rules. So sometimes we have to make decisions in a sporty way or a sporty spirit. And in this case, we can consider to reverse the result and get a new result list. This could challenge us in other ways, you know, that we have qualifications to other competitions and prize money. But these are two different solutions on this problem, or in this case, elimination. Questions?
I'm checking if there are any questions. So far, no.
No, this was also very clear in the answers from the group. One group took one direction and the other one took the other direction.
Yes.
So thank you.
So I think we have a little bit of lessons learned on this, especially when it comes to the chief steward. So the next slide here talks a little bit about lessons learned. So it's back to the chief steward. I think we all need to realize and maybe to reread when we are appointed as a chief steward that we have a number of responsible tasks. One of them is that before we have the start of the first competition is to meet the steward team to discuss their tasks and how they are going to carry out their task and ensure that all of them are up to date with the knowledge of the current FEI rules and regulations, and that actually are updates to the TACAP that is possible then to discuss at the first meeting. I think it's crucial that each and every of the chief stewards gather the whole steward team and discuss that at a meeting. Otherwise, we might have mistakes just like this case one that we have read about. Second, it's also important that the chief steward discuss and explain how to communicate and what to communicate to the chief steward and when this is to be done. This could also have been an issue around this case, that the communication was not clear and it was not clear on who and when it should be to. And during the event, for sure, the chief steward needs to be present for the whole event from the very beginning to the very end. And also that the chief steward has kind of a mentoring role during the competition. We all realize that when we start this task as a steward, we need to learn from someone. So the chief steward shall assist and educate anyone that is not as experienced as the others, to ensure that the complete team can carry out the duties as stewards to the level that we all need. So a little bit of lessons learned from this case one, and I hope that everybody that are chief stewards among us here take that in and you call for a good steward meeting next time you are chief stewards. Thank you.
Maria, I think there's a question, but actually it was, I think, clear. The question is, so what would be the correct one?
Correct
Depends.
one in what? Maybe I'm puzzled here.
No, the
Correct.
correct judging solution.
Ah,
Both, I would say both are correct. This is why we have good judges. Solve it in a sporty spirit way. And maybe you can also see that the period of jurisdiction, if it's 30 minutes after the final result, and we get to learn this, then it's too late to change the result. But if the event is still going on, and you really feel that you have to change the result and reverse the result, do it. If you don't feel that, you can always lean on this 30 minutes protest time and make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Maria said, be careful and don't eliminate unless you're really sure that it's the wrong tack.
Right. Okay.
And also, I would say that maybe the president of the grand jury needs to step up also and be informed and look into the rule before he eliminates someone.
Mm-hmm.
Or she eliminates someone.
Right. Can I go to the next question?
Yes.
Case number 2.
So this one is the late arrival of 2 horses. Can we go on to the next slide? So some assumptions we made here is that the flight arrives after the first class has ended. If the first class is the only qualifier, then there won't be another opportunity for those horses to qualify. But whenever they do arrive, the horses need to be properly go through an arrival exam, which would either be by the VSM, a PTV, or the vet delegate or a member of the vet commission. If they're arriving so late that not everyone is available, those horses could be temporarily placed into isolation and await a formal arrival exam the next morning. And once the horse has gone through the arrival exam and has been accepted into the stabling area, it should then undergo a horse inspection with an appropriate inspection panel in the best place that we have available. And it may not be the same place that the rest of the horses were inspected, but we should make our best effort to do it in as similar and appropriate a place. In the for jumping, the inspection panel always consists of the president of the president of the ground jury, foreign judge, as well as the veterinary delegate or commission. So we want to put that back in place for these 2 horses as well.
Thank you. Any questions, if I may? I think there's one. It's back to question 1. The question is, on question 1, if you have already submitted the results to the FEI, good luck with getting them to change it. I've tried that and it was only a change from eliminate to retired.
But then if you have already submitted the result to the FEI, it's probably after 30 minutes after the final result. And then it's impossible to change the result. But if it's before and the event is still going on, there is a possibility.
Okay, thank you. Can you see the question screen?
Yes.
Okay. So the next question then, if you can see it on your screens.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a question unless I click.
Yeah, you just hover the mouse
Okay.
over the bottom and it'll come up with Q&A.
Okay. Are there any questions for case number 2?
Well done.
No? Did we lose Ali?
No, just back.
No. Okay.
Would you
Can you
like me to
do-
do case number 3 as well, or Charles, do you want to do that one?
I'm more than happy for you to keep going, Emily. Thank you very much.
Okay. So in this case, our veterinary delegate is stuck at the airport. I mean, the best situation here is to prevent this because veterinary delegates are expected to be on site the day before a horse inspection for all competitions. But we all know this does happen anyway because of flying these days. I think we can go on to the next. So the assumptions that we made, and what we wanted to consider was there another veterinary delegate available anywhere within proximity to the horse show? We want to look at whether the VSM is actually a qualified veterinary delegate. Would be possible to swap the roles of the people? Is there any way we can delay the horse inspection? In addition, could we use technology in a way to have it live streamed? And all of these questions would need to be considered before we would consider what to do next, which we can go on to the next slide. Okay, let's go back one. Any of you want to add to this one?
Yeah, I would just like to say that as a president of grand jury, I would be hesitant to live stream the horse inspection. It's a possibility, but I would be very hesitant to do that. I think one of the groups answered really well on this, that they should use the Article 1110 2.4, where you can change the schedule. So if you contact the vet department and ask for a solution, I think this is also appropriate in this case.
Agreed. I think if there was any way to delay it or even delay the start of competition for a period of time, that would be the ideal scenario. I think you'd be in a situation where you really can't run it without a qualified delegate to do the horse inspection.
Next.
Would you like me to carry on?
Yes, please.
We're very happy, Emily, very happy.
Okay. You have a vet, you're at the vet inspection and a horse shows up with no matching credentials. The chip does not match the passport. I think that the main issue here is there's been a failure at the arrival exam, because if the horse was not identifiable and therefore the vaccine status confirmable, the horse should not have entered the FEI stabling. It should have immediately gone to isolation until it could be established the horse's identity. So that's the first issue. Can we go on to the second page? So our assumption here is that there was a failure of that arrival exam, and now the horse has been in the stable and has consequently shown up to the jog.
Emily, just a second, please, because we're switching the presentations between Maria and myself.
Okay.
Apologies for that. Maria, can you share your screen now?
I think I am sharing it.
Looks
Thank
good
you.
to me. So I think just to reiterate what I said, until the horse's identity can be confirmed and its vaccination status established, it should remain in isolation. So some options at this point would be, we could jog up all the other horses and then bring this horse out of isolation to let it jog. So at least we can establish a fitness to compete and then continue on with the investigation of its identity.
Okay.
Next. Or
No questions on this?
Nope.
no questions so far.
Okay, I think I get to pass this on to another panelist.
Yes, Anna.
So it's my turn. So here we have a horse that he was presented at the horse inspection. So and he is checked in as an international horse. And you all know that in Annex 6, It's we can find all the requirements for participating in a CSI and a CSIO. This is also written in every schedule in one of the first pages. And it's possible for a national horse to be stable together with the international horses, and it's also possible to participate in a national event up to 2 hours prior to the start of the horse inspection, and also after the conclusion of our international event. And we assume that this horse has only, or what we have read with this horse has only been participating in the national competition since he arrived. So he cannot start in any international competition during this event. The time frame is closed. Can you change to the next slide,
Correct.
please?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. What we should do is check it out from the FEI app or from the master list. It should be taken out from the master list of the international event. That's one solution. And we should also ask the foreign judge to include information in his report to the FEI, according to the article 116.7. So he can continue doing his national competitions, but he cannot participate in an international competition.
Could I add one thing to that?
Yes, please, Emily.
Also, it can only stay in FEI stabling at this point if it's being ridden by a rider who is also competing in the CSI.
Yeah.
So if this rider has 2 horses, one competing in the CSI and one national, that's okay. But if this rider was intending to do FEI, then decided to jump national, and it's not, and he or she is not actually competing in the CSI, this horse should be removed from stabling.
Yeah, correct.
Still no questions anyway at the moment.
I think there was one hand that was raised from Bridget, if I can see correctly, Charles. From Bridget Montana.
It's not showing on mine as a raised hand at the moment, so I'll leave that one to you, Ellie.
Okay. Bridget, you can talk now.
Yeah, you're muted.
Okay. I'm a new FEI steward. I am a level 2 because I have been a USEF national steward. I'm confused as to the horse that's allowed to go compete on the national side and then come back to the FEI stabling. Isn't there a chance for contamination if that horse has been mingling with the horses on the national side and then comes back into the FEI barn? Why do we allow that?
Should I address that?
Yes,
You're certainly not the first person to bring up that issue. It was very complicated within the feedback to the vet department when this latest rule was written. That's their solution to allow companion horses and also horses that are competing nationally by an FEI rider. I would say it's maybe not, doesn't make sense in all situations, but there are some where it does, and that is the current rule. So as long as they're being ridden by an FEI rider who's competing in this CSI, in this case, at that event, it is allowed, but only if that horse is registered with the FEI, is checked into the horse app, follows all the same procedures as the horses within the CSI. So it can't just be any horse. It has to be an FEI registered horse.
Okay.
I think Emily and Bridget's point is well made, but at the same time, riders are also intermingling between the 2 stables and just a bigger biosecurity risk. So, you know, somewhere along the line, there has to be a practical solution, but I think it's a very good point to raise. Well done.
All right. I don't see any other questions so far. Case number 6.
Who's doing this? Sounds chief stewardy to me.
Well, then it's definitely Maria's.
It is Maria's.
I can please. So we just put all the description on the 2 slides. So coming back here, well, it actually becomes more or less a veterinary solution to the whole. The chief steward finds out that there was or we assume that there was a failure at the arrival of the examination, and that the horse, let's see, I need to do like this now, that the horse was allowed into the stable. So the horse that left must be formally checked out, and it's actually the organizer who is responsible to check out the horse in the horse app. So the stable manager and the organizer must be notified that the horse is leaving to formally check them out. And then we have the matter about the incorrect arrival check of the horse that is stable in FEI stable. The veterinary regulations, maybe you should take over here, Emily, so I'm not talking something wrong on your behalf.
No problem. So it is ultimately the PR's responsibility to present a horse for the arrival exam. And by not doing so, they can risk being sanctioned. So from that standpoint, someone brought a horse into the barn without it going through a proper arrival exam, or the horse app would at least know who this horse was. And by scanning the microchip on the horse, you should be able to identify who it was. So ultimately, in the end, the PR still holds that responsibility. I think a couple of the groups came up with some interesting scenarios, like there had been a loose horse and someone put it in a stall. So maybe this actually is an FEI horse from a different stall. So I think we have some definite investigation to do here, and maybe this has a reasonable explanation, or maybe it's something that needs to be pursued further with a sanction. And I think that completely depends on the research that follows this scenario.
I think we have some questions.
Do you want me, let me take pass that on, Ali. So we're going back to question 5, and it was, well, what would happen if the horse did compete in the FEI and then decided to do national classes? And I think that was actually answered. Anna, didn't you say that they can't? They have to be checked out. That's the first thing.
Exactly, they have to be checked. But if they have, now in this case it hasn't been started, but in that case, we would have to disqualify that horse because he's not allowed, since it's not 2 hours before the horse inspection, and it's not after the conclusion of the event. So he would be disqualified in the international event.
That's great. And then there's a follow-up to question 6, and it's an interesting one, although I think that would be picked up at arrivals. And the question is, what if there is no microchip to be found in the horse? Or maybe the horse doesn't, well, I don't know, horses have to have them legally. So it's just if the microchip is unable to be found, what would you do then, Emily? It'd be marking sheets.
So it does depend on the country whether or not all horses have microchips. So at least here in the US, if there was a loose horse on the grounds and it ran into FEI stabling and somebody put it in a stall, potentially it could not have a microchip. Now all hunter jumper horses have microchips in this country, but for instance, if this was a CDI, you could plausibly create a situation where a horse wouldn't have a microchip. But any horse that's allowed in FEI stabling, being FEI registered for sure is required to have a microchip. So if this unfortunate loose horse happened to be one of very few FEI registered horses whose microchip wasn't functional, then our investigation is getting a bit more complex. It needs to be correctly identified in some way, is the bottom line.
Thank you. Okay, then we move on to number 7.
We hand this nicely to Anna.
So the injection of the horse in the stable, how do you proceed? Can we change slide, please? This is all written very clearly in Article 1057. So I assume that we have done a thorough investigation, and we have also gotten a written testimonial from the steward about what happened. And then we inform the vet delegate, and we talk to the rider, of course, or the person responsible if it's a younger rider. And then we follow the procedures in Article 1057. So it's a sanction for not using the treatment box, which is 10 Swiss franc, and we report it to the FEI veterinary department. We also sanction this person for unauthorized person in possession of a syringe, which is also 1,000 Swiss franc. And he's also disqualified from the event if the horse was being injected. And the horse will be submitted for EADCM testing. One group was saying in scenario 2 that the rider said that he didn't inject the horse, and then there will be no consequences. I would say that if it's a positive test for the EADCMP, then the rider will be disqualified from the event, and these sanctions can be in function.
Okay.
But assuming from the description, we have talked to the rider, we have a written testimonial from the steward, and then we follow the Article 1057.
I think this is one of those situations where photographic evidence of some kind would make your investigation so much easier.
Charles, do you want to forward the question for case 7?
Well, we just have one question that, yes, it's just come in. So just let me scroll on down. So what if this occurs in the pre-time over 1 hour before horse inspection? In other words, the before the period of jurisdiction, and it is the online preparation period.
Emily, do you take this?
Sure. So now we're talking about the on-site preparation period, which I think this is, this is actually quite a common scenario that has occurred recently. And again, I think it goes down to the same basic concepts of the investigation, but now several of these rules in the vet regs are qualified by within the period of the event. But the unauthorized possession of syringes and needles is not qualified as during the period of the event. So I think your penalties still can be enacted, and as soon as the horse enters the period of the event, certainly the EADMCP procedure can occur.
I give you another scenario. It'll be a little bit like serrated spurs. Serrated spurs are not allowed at any time on the showgrounds. So that means that includes the on-site preparation period, even though the rider can't be sanctioned until the period of jurisdiction starts. So it's all a question of gathering the evidence and then presenting it to the chief steward, the president of the grand jury, and the vet delegate after 1 hour before the horse inspection.
Yeah, before the horse inspection. Yes, I completely agree. And certainly that horse is subject to testing as soon as that 1 hour time frame starts.
Okay, that's the questions at the moment. So if we go on to our last case number 8.
Would you like me to start?
Yes.
Okay. So this is obviously a very, very common problem at horse inspections, particularly at dressage horse inspections, but also jumping. Difficult to handle stallions. So I think usually from my point, the first thing I like to do is send the horse to the hold and see if they can get the behavior to improve and then come back. But here we go back to our articles. You know, handlers must lead the horse from the left side on a loose rein. That does not equal ridden at a horse inspection, so I don't think anyone's going to improve that. And certainly safety is our primary concern here, but the horse needs to be presented in a manner of which it's trotted from the left side with a loose rein. Any other comments from
Not
how
so
you would?
far.
I mean, I think from a president's grand jury, Anna, what would you think about using a tube or a long solid piece of wood between the bridle bit and the handler? Do you have an issue with that?
Yes, because we cannot do that because, like it says here on the picture, it should be trotted with a loose rein. Having a tube or something like that could really mask something, and I wouldn't approve that. We have all seen these cases with the difficult stallions, and somehow we always try to manage it, but we need to take consideration of the safety first of all, and maybe he can come back later when all the horses when the horse inspection is finished.
Yeah. I think that's the key one, isn't it? It's preempting it, and hopefully the rider or the groom has come to probably the chief steward before the horse inspection starts, explains that they have a particularly difficult horse. It's not always stallions, because there's some nasty little geldings and mares around. But if they explain that initially, it gives plenty of opportunity for between the three people, the chief steward, the veterinary delegate, and the president of the grand jury, to come up with a solution, be it to say, just wait until the very end, we'll send a message down to the stables, and then you can bring the horse up, or that you bring it up right at the beginning. But the beginning, there's always a little bit of a queue, so that wouldn't be the best scenario. I think at the end is definitely better. And then it has to be, I think, judged on its merit. And we want to get away, no riding, no not two people, because it certainly masks it, and try and find a safe solution.
Agree.
So there's no more questions on that. Ali, I don't know if you have anything else that you want to bring up, or if you've seen any hands.
I'm just checking now, and so far, no. And I had one WhatsApp message, which is already canceled now, and I think that is it.
But maybe we could highlight here, Charles, that we see on shows nowadays, we see more and more common that we have a booking system for the horse inspection. And that actually is one step to make the horse inspection more safe than before. I always want to say that the horse inspection is one of the most dangerous things we are doing. And to have a good organization of it is key to make it safe. To organize a horse inspection with time slots where each and every horse is signed up time, or the grooms are signing up time for when to trot them, is definitely a way to avoid the long queues where horses get excited and starts to play and become unsafe. So again, the chief stewards is definitely recommended to organize the horse inspection with time slots.
Then if I may just say, because it's great that we have, I think it's 75 at the last look on this call tonight, and I would recommend to any members to just write down somewhere, whether it's in your phone notes or somewhere, if you have an unusual situation during the year, start to think now about how you can just keep a note of it to ask for next year, because these case study examples are really good, that we've had a nice selection of of veterinary judging and stewarding questions. So try and keep a note of it so that you're ready for when Ali sends out the message next year that we're going to open up the case studies, because they are a great learning tool.
Yeah.
Makes us think anyway.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I'd like to say, as being new to the group, this was just such an excellent exercise. What a good idea. I think it's really useful. I hope to participate in the future.
Oh, you're in, Emily. Don't you worry. You're in.
Yes. Thank you so much, Emily.
Yes. I think this is it, because I'm checking for the last time, Charles, if there are any questions. Do you like to say, each one of you, any final words before I say thank you to all of you and to our participants?
Just thank you for including me.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Emily.
No, and I think, like it's been great for us because we've had to sit down together both online and discuss things and go through them. So it's been a really good learning curve for us, and it's nice that there was such a wide selection. Maybe we'll even have course designers next time.
No, it's been really good to talk together, and also to look at the answers that come in, and really good results from the groups, I would say.
Yes, this is one of our intentions as well for next year. The plan is also to include the course designers. But for the closing remarks, if I may, first of all, I should thank you all for your time and effort, because we know that this is not a so easy exercise, evaluating the decisions, etc. However, we had 75 participants today online and 15 on Facebook. So overall, we had 90. And I think this is a good crowd, and for sure the registration numbers was the highest ever. So thank you all for doing this. And I think it's also the good exercise from the perspective that it makes us think from alternate angles for the same question. So I think this is what really has the value inside, as you all said. I would also like to thank our participants for joining, and I just want to remind them that we have our next webinar coming up on the 27th, and that should also be an interesting topic. That's cooperating with the media, and Grania Willis will be talking on media matters, on how to deal with media, etc. So once again, thank you all, and please keep sending your cases to us during the year. So I do collect them, we categorize them, and we share them with our colleagues. So please continue doing so. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.